Hello chocolate friends, Carla here with Opening Chocolate. I have a bar bits video inspired today by this bar from Monsoon Chocolate out of Tucson, Arizona in the United States. And what I wanted to talk about was mesquite, because you may not know how they're getting mesquite in this bar. So here's what it's a white chocolate based bar. They are using cocoa butter from Camino Verde in Ecuador. And so it's got mesquite flower in them. But how do you get mesquite flower? So mesquite is actually a kind of tree that the genus is Prosopis. No, I'm not saying that right. Prosopis. Prosopis. It has 45 species. They're spiny shrubs, trees. They're very adapted to being in a desert. They are drought resistant. They have these teeny tiny little leaves because if you think about a desert plant versus a rainforest plants have these huge, flat, giant leaves because their main goal is they're not worried about water, they're worried about collecting sunlight. So they need maximum surface area. In the desert, you got plenty of sun, that's not the problem. It's water, so you want to have as little surface area as possible. So they have these teeny tiny leaves on them. They have a very, very deep root system that they can go really deep and get the really deep groundwater. And they have lots and lots of pods on them. And it's the pods and the seeds that is where the flower comes from. So there's 3 common ones in Arizona where Monsoon Chocolate is. There's Prosopis pubescens, which is sometimes called screw bean. There's Prosopis glandulosa, which is honey mesquite or sometimes called Texas mesquite. And then there's Prosopis velutina, which is sometimes called Arizona mesquite or velvet mesquite. So all of the mesquite are in the legume family, the Fabaceae family. They have beans, they look like beans. They've been used by the indigenous people of the area for thousands of years, used for medicinal purposes, used for building materials, materials for tools like arrowheads. The wood is very prized because of its structure. It's used as fuel wood. It's used, as many of you know it, for giving flavor to food when cooking. Thorns were used as tattoo needles, and of course it's used as food. Pods and blossoms were ground into meal for cakes and breads. So where Monsoon Chocolate is sourcing their mesquite flower is from a local cooperative, San Xavier Cooperative Farm, and they're on the Tohono O'odham Nation, and it has a really interesting, interesting is the right word, but there's a long history with indigenous people in the United States. And in particular, in this area, water rights plays an interesting role. So this cooperative that is currently began in the 1970s, and they wanted to start farming again to have indigenous food sovereignty. And when they did that, they found that their water sources on their land were literally being drained by regional agribusiness, copper mines, and the city of Tucson. So they sued them because they were stealing the aquifer or the water under the nation's land. And they sued all of those entities, and it took an act of Congress in 1982 called the Southern Arizona Water Rights Settlement Act to allow them to have control, sovereignty, and to stop those other people from stealing their water. So it allowed the area to become more productive again, and they now have what they call a wild harvest program. So the tribal members get certified and they participate in the farmers pay by the pound program. So they sell, tribal members will collect forage foods and sell them to the cooperative or farm in a raw state, and the farm cooperative will then process them and preserve them for sale in the farm store and in the local business. So in this case, they take the mesquite pods, they will dry them, grind them in their stone mill, and prepare the flour. So that is what they're adding to this bar. Now, mesquite flour is really cool because it's so sweet. It's when we think of flour, right, you always think of white wheat flour. That's not what this is. It's very, very sweet and nice and nutty. So it lends that flavor to the cocoa butter that they use for the base of this bar. It's a really nice bar. What else do I want to tell you? I think that's it for today's bar bits. So that is mesquite. It's not one plant, it's many different kind of plants that they can collect these things from and use them. If you're going to do this, make sure that you know what you're doing before you forage and eat food. There can be some issues if you collect at the wrong time. Because of the monsoons in Arizona, the pods can have some mold or rot in them, and that may become an issue. So make sure you know what you're doing if you are trying to do this or collect this like this farm cooperative does. And also give this bar a try because it's unique flavors, fun local flavors that Monsoon is doing, and something very interesting with mesquite. So that's today's Bar Bits Minute. If you've ever collected your own mesquite flour, foraged your own mesquite, or made your own mesquite flour, let me know about it because I've never done it. I've only actually seen it done. So I could probably learn some more from you. Otherwise, join me next time as we talk more about chocolate. Thanks for watching.